All right, the Chad Brown-trained Hill Road won the Peter Pan Stakes on Saturday at Aqueduct. He's going to the Belmont Stakes next, and he is an interesting horse, an interesting contender for the Belmont Stakes. Now, Hill Road debuted in Europe, won a maiden race by 5 lengths. They cut him back to 7 furlongs, tried him in a grade 1. That wasn't his cup of tea. He's got a dirt pedigree. His Damn Exotic Notion won it 1.25 miles on the dirt in Argentina. Out of Lemon Drop Kid, who was a Belmont Stakes winner. And then you got Quality Road on top, who was a real nice horse, like between 7 furlongs to 1.125 miles. Anyway, Hill Road made his American debut in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and got no pace at all. I mean, this race was like a merry-go-round race besides him. I mean, if you take him out of the race, it would have looked like watching a merry-go-round. Citizen Bull got a real easy lead. His Baffert stablemate Gaming sat second right off him. They just went 1-2, sailed around the track 1-2, and no one did any passing in this race except for Hill Road. Was 10th and last early behind 47.89 is dawdling for Delmar, and he was able to grind out a third place finish in there. Then he goes to the Tampa Bay Derby. They went 48 for a half with all kinds of weird doings going on the front end. No pace at all once again. Plugs home third, but has just this gigantic gallop out. I don't know if you remember our review, but we reviewed the Tampa Derby, and we said that Hill Road is the horse that we want out of the race. Patch Adams was the horse that was kind of screwed around going into the first turn in that race, and you see he come back going 6.5 and improved his figure 20 points, basically 19 points. You know, shortened up in distance and, you know, on the pace the whole way, and a nice win going 6.5. But Hill Road was probably an even bigger victim than Patch Adams with all the weird doings in that race, because this is a very pace-dependent horse, in my opinion. He needs pace. He got the 2 most unlucky circumstances in the 2 races they run him. And then he was going to go after the Tampa Bay Derby. He was entered in the Wood Memorial. And I was all excited to bet him in the Wood Memorial, fired up, and he ends up scratching. Chad Brown said that he got sick when he vanned up from Florida to New York. He got a fever, got sick. He missed a couple weeks of training, missed some training. Hill Road was able to get over the illness, return to training, and went into Saturday's Peter Pan. You see here he stumbled at the start, but it didn't matter. He still was able to grind out a victory. We'll watch the Peter Pan now. All right, post position 4 is Hill Road. McAfee is the number 5 who finishes second in the race. Interesting fact about McAfee, that's a Rick Dutrow trained horse who is out of the same dam as Torpedo Anna. Anyway, Hill Road's number 4. We're going to run it now.
All set. 71st running of the Peter Pan. And they're off. Vassimo breaks very well. Has the speed. It's Vassimo who wants to be on the front end. Is hard sent here by Irad Ortiz Jr. Is intent on being on the front end right there with Captain Cook. Still hustle on. Vassimo wanted to get there, but Captain Cook is going to be quickest, and Captain Cook will cross over from Manny Franco is in front. Switching right to the outside to stalk is Vassimo is now a clear second. McAfee is a close-up third. 2 lengths in front of Uncaged. Kendrick Carmouche well settled right there in 5th. At the rail of Surfside Moon and Junior Alvarado. Burton's Baytown is now progressing, has taken that 5th position away, and that's going to push Surfside Moon back to 6th. Hill Road is towards the back end of the field with first pitch, and the trailer Happily Delusional. Captain Cook shows the way. Captain Cook 23.36 for the opening quarter mile. Vassimo is watching right here from second, starts to move in closer, has been ridden along throughout. Vassimo and Captain Cook, they're still the top 2. McAfee under a patient ride here, and McAfee is traveling well, approaching a half-mile left to go here in the Peter Pan. Uncaged gets the cue. Brereton's Baytown is trying to rally on, dropping back there at the rail with Surfside Moon. Hill Road is starting to commence a rally here, but is still about 5 lengths off the lead. First pitch, and the trailer Happily Delusional. The leader is Captain Cook. Vassimo has been passed by a well-traveling McAfee, and McAfee is looming up on the outside. Captain Cook is encouraged to keep this advantage. They reach the top of the stretch, and Captain Cook is very stubborn and game towards the inside. McAfee continued to travel well, is ready to challenge, and McAfee to the outside. Hill Road is coming from far out of it, and here comes Hill Road with sights on the top two. Captain Cook is in front. McAfee, these two shoulder to shoulder, and Hill Road about to join them both. McAfee's taking the lead. Here comes Hill Road with every single stride to win the Peter Pan. Hill Road over McAfee, then came Captain Cook and Surfside Moon in 1 minute 49.22 seconds.
All right, something that you might have noticed watching this race, Hill Road was on the wrong lead. You see here, these horses are leading with their right. He's leading with his left. So he was on the wrong lead the entire length of the stretch, and that just could be a tendency of his. I mean, that's ideally you want to see a horse change leads properly, get to the right lead in the lane, and it didn't happen there with Hill Road, and it hasn't happened in his previous races either. Just could be, just could be his own tendency. Alidar, a great closer named Alidar, always on the left lead. Generally not a good sign, but it could just be something minorly bothering the horse, or more likely, in the case of Hill Road, it's just his tendency, rolling with Nolan, the nice Nick Zito horse from 20 years ago, always on his wrong lead. Alidar, always on his wrong lead. And that may be the case here with Hill Road. Now, if he gets that corrected, he's open for improvement, but it could just be a thing where it's his tendency. You see him running here. The left is leading. That's the wrong lead. You look at these horses, the right's leading. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. To get into lead changes too deep here, because I think it can be a bit overrated. But it is, I compare it to like when you're carrying a suitcase through the airport. Say you're right-handed, your right's your dominant hand. You're going to carry that suitcase, in your right hand. Eventually, after lugging it around so long, it's going to get heavy. You're going to want to switch to your left hand. And when you do, you get, like a little bit of like a little juice. Like, this is easier to carry. And, that's the whole concept there. We don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, though. Before we get back to talking about Hill Road, we're going to watch a little bit of the second place finisher, McAfee. That's the half brother to Torpedo Anna. Torpedo Anna's baby half brother here, and out of the same mare. So number 5, McAfee, is going to get bounced around a little bit at the start and gets really sandwiched pretty hard going into the first turn. So we're going to watch that now. Right about here, you're going to see McAfee kind of catch a little sandwich. Gets squeezed in there. Nothing major, but this is not something that you want to have happen to you, in the run to the first turn. And, McAfee got knocked around a little bit in the run to the first turn and was, 2 to 3 wide on both turns. And I thought run a really nice race to be second. Back to my review of the Tampa Bay Derby for Hill Road, and here was my thoughts on him that day. That is going to be an interesting horse to follow, and he's a horse that we're going to take a shot with later on, is Hill Road. Now, Hill Road finished third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, where it was a similar nonsense as this, where it was 2 Baffert horses backing down the pace and running 1-2 without hooking up. This Hill Road got no pace in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and plugged in third. He got no pace today, plugged in third. And we'll take a look at his gallop out. I mean, he had a great gallop out. All right, so here's the gallop out of the Tampa Derby. You see Owen Almighty, the winner, Chancer McPatrick second. And watch Hill Road on the gallop out here, the 3.
Was second, third went to Hill Road, Patch Adams fourth.
He just gallops out way, way in front of the field there. And his dam was a 1.25 mile horse in Argentina. He's out of a Lemon Drop Kid Mayor, Lemon Drop Kid, a Belmont Stakes winner. So the Hill Road is the one horse that we're interested in out of this race going forward. We want him going longer distances and where he gets a true pace, where they're up there fighting on the front end. I think I think he'll really step forward and surprise some people when that happens. So, all right, so that was Hill Road's huge gallop out in the Tampa Derby after getting no pace. Now, here's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. This is his first of his 3 American races. We've seen the other 2. This was the first of the 3, and a massive development in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. East Avenue on the rail was the true speed in the race, the absolute true speed, and he got left at the break and had to be behind horses, and 2 Baffert horses just walked the dog on the front end. But watch the 3 Hill Road.
They're all in line. We're ready for the start. They're off in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and East Avenue is last early on. It is Citizen Bull that goes out to the early lead. Getaway Car and Gaming are right there too. So the Bob Baffert horses 1, 2, 3 into the turn. Jonathan's Way and Ferocious are next. Then Akora Wazelle. A break of another 2.5 lengths more to Chancer McPatrick, who's ahead of East Avenue early on. East Avenue looks a little uncomfortable in the early stages here, now being passed by Shin Believe, and Hill Road is the trailer. So on to the backstretch, Citizen Bull makes the pace. Gaming 3/4 of a length behind. And then to the outside, it is Akora Wazelle in third. The first quarter mile, 23.44. It was realistic. They're not rolling right along up front. Getaway Car is fourth and down on the inside. Jonathan's Way fifth in between horses with 4 lengths to make up at this stage. Then Shin Believe and Ferocious. East Avenue and Chancer McPatrick are side by side, and they're 7 lengths behind Citizen Bull. Hill Road is the trailer. 47.89 was an easy half mile. And now the field races for the far turn, where it is still Citizen Bull and Gaming. The Bob Baffert horses 1, 2. Akora Wazelle, Shin Believe has moved up on the outside. Getaway Car is at the rail, and the others have plenty of work to do as they come toward the top of the stretch. Citizen Bull and Gaming, and they turn for home together. The stablemates 1, 2, they're into the stretch. Citizen Bull in front, trying to take him all the way, and he kicks away. Citizen Bull by 2. Gaming is all out second. Getaway Car third. Baffert 1, 2, 3 as they come to the finish. It is going to be Citizen Bull and Martin Garcia to win. Gaming was second. Hill Road came late. Grabbed third from Getaway Car in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
So there is Hill Road. He's headed next for the Belmont Stakes, and he's got an interesting look to him. If there's a lot of pace in that Belmont, this is a horse that's going to love a fast-paced 1.25 mile race, and I think he is open to improvement. Missing some getting sick, missing some training time, missing a couple weeks. I think he's open to more improvement. And he will be open to even more improvement if he gets his lead changes right, for sure. But Hill Road's an interesting horse in the Belmont. We took a closer look at him here. And the Preakness draw is later this evening. So we're going to draw the entries later this evening for the Preakness. Journalism is in there now. Sandman's in there now. We'll have a whole lot more on the Preakness. But this was Saturday's Peter Pan winner, Hill Road. Going to the Belmont Stakes next. You can look forward to some Preakness content in the next few days. But hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice day, everyone.